Hello people on the internet. On today's special report, a bit of a double feature on the fair use and copyright front. YouTube changes some monetization guidelines for those videos which have content ID disputes, and the RIAA attempts a campaign and a petition called Take Down, Stay Down. My name is JD Shadow and the special report will start right now. YouTube has apparently made their content ID system a little bit better for content creators to, at the very least, be able to get money, their rightfully earned money back, if the dispute turns in their favor. According to Rosenstein, the content ID group product manager on YouTube, on the YouTube creator blog, he says, quote, "At YouTube, one of our core values is a belief in the freedom of opportunity. We believe anyone should have the opportunity to earn money from the videos they create and turn their channel into a successful business. That's why we've opened up the YouTube Partner Program 9 years ago, and why we remain the only platform where anyone with an idea and a camera can turn their video into a full-time job." And he goes on to state that today we are announcing a major step to help fix that frustrating experience, in which videos that are claimed and disputed don't earn revenue for anyone, which is an especially frustrating experience for creators that if claim ends up being incorrect while a video racks up views in its first few days. We're developing a new solution that will allow videos to earn revenue while a content ID claim is being disputed. Here's how it will work. When both a creator and someone making a claim choose to monetize a video, we will continue to run ads on that video and hold the resulting revenue separately. Once the content ID claim or dispute is resolved, we'll pay out that revenue to the appropriate party. And I will show you the diagram that they have on this page in the video window. They then go on to state, "We strongly believe in fair use and believe that this improvement to content ID will make a real difference. In addition to our work on the content ID dispute process, we're also paying close attention to creators' concerns about copyright claims on YouTube they believe may be fair use. We want to help both the YouTube community and copyright owners alike better understand what fair use looks like online, which is why we launched our Fair Use Protection Program last year and recently introduced new help center pages on this topic. Even though content ID claims are disputed less than 1% of the time, we agree that this process could be better. Making sure our content ID tools are being used properly is deeply important to us, so we've built a dedicated team to monitor this. Using a combination of algorithms and manual review, this team has resolved millions of invalid claims in the last year alone, and acted on millions more before they impacted creators. The team also restricts feature access and even terminates a partner's access to content ID tools if we find they are repeatedly abusing those tools. We will continue to invest in both people and technology to make sure that content ID keeps working for creators and rights holders. We want to thank everyone who shared their concerns about unidentified effects from content ID claims. This allowed us to create a better system for everyone that we hope to share more updates soon." Okay, some problems with this. Let's first of all say that this is a step in the right direction, but at the same time, it leaves a lot to be desired, and it kind of brings into question where the hell was transparency to this in the first place. First of all, until they brought up that no one gets money if the video is disputed and it goes through the 30-day period in which somebody has to respond to someone's dispute before you can make money again. Before that happened, everybody thought that if a video was disputed, that the third party would still be making money. Now we know that the video and the monetization for it would be lost forever. All the money that would be made would be lost forever, and as everyone knows, the most views are going to come in the first 30 days. That's where most of the revenue for a video is going to come from. That's the time frame that you have. Now, if someone is claiming your video for copyright, what's going to happen is that that money is just going to be burned. It's just going to go bye-bye. No one's going to earn money from that. So in this sense, what they're going to do instead is a sort of side account in which Doug Walker, who brought this to everybody's attention with Where's the Fair Use, Doug Walker, Nostalgia Critic, or whatever you want to call him, this is something that he suggested. And from the looks of things, they are listening here. Now, this is not addressing that if someone is claiming a video right from the get-go, they're going to earn money until you do something. And they get the money while you try to get to your computer and actively issue the dispute. And there is some things that they don't address here. There are some major things that they don't address here, but this is a step in the right direction. Though the things that they don't address are major things. First of all, the whole idea behind, okay, there's only 1% of content ID claims that are disputed. You know what? That's basically because there are a couple caveats. One, they are made against those who don't know that they should fight that, or don't know that they can fight that, or feel like they are scared to fight that, or feel anxiety to fight that. Or there are those that the people who are making the claim choose to go further. It doesn't address those people, those claimants, that when a content ID dispute is filed, they come back and say, hey, we own this, even though they should not have anything to do with that video in question. Those people who choose to abuse the system and choose to try to go deeper and deeper. And that brings me to the other big thing that this does not address, which is copyright strikes. We have talked about this. There are times in which some people will abuse the system by issuing full-on takedowns. This does not address the penalties that someone has to go through if they are wrongfully accused of copyright infringement, and their first resort is to issue the copyright strike, make them have to go through the 15-minute penalty, make them have to go through all that stuff in order to get their channel back, in order to get their video back. And this has happened more times than not. I talked about a lot of times in which I've been having my videos taken down by Toei Animation, or whoever is claiming to be Toei Animation. There's some speculation about that. Somebody at Viz Media was asking me about that. There are times like what happened in Sega's case, what happened with Fun Creators and Total Biscuit, what happened with him and Wild Game Studios. There's stuff like that that happens where the first thing somebody does is issue a full-on takedown, and while somebody's fighting it, they have to go through the penalties. That should not be, and that does not address this, even though YouTube is saying that they are going to continue to look at fair use. They need to fix the system in of itself. They really need to do that. They really need to make sure that that is not getting abused. That's the first thing you have to do, is to be it more human activated. They need to make sure that it's not just the bot doing it. Of course, there's the content ID bot and whatever else, but the copyright strikes, they need to be more by a human. They need to have full-on human interaction. And they need to make sure that the claimant is giving YouTube sufficient proof to say, hey, they are actually infringing on my copyright. This is beyond fair use. And YouTube needs to get better at allowing content creators to actively fight it without the fear of losing their channel if they fight those claims. And not penalize the channel if they are actively fighting a copyright takedown claim. Why are they penalized anyway? And the last thing is that they need to strengthen the penalties for those people who abuse the system. Before we saw this blog post, did anybody else know that this team of people who are investigated the content ID claims even existed? Did anybody know that this was a thing? Obviously, YouTube needs to tell us more things more often. They need more transparency, because this just showed just how little interaction they have with anybody. And this whole thing with the Fair Use Protection Program, it only helps a small minority of people on YouTube. It does not protect many people. Jim Sterling is a known person who is under this system. Bookie2988 is not under this system. That's how backwards this is. And Jim Sterling has even said that this is still not the best thing that could possibly have happened. However, it is a step in the right direction. At the very least, they're seeing that something is going on. People are getting irritated, and people are paying attention and want a change real soon. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight, but there is obviously a big movement, and somebody's doing something right because YouTube is paying attention. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, and this transparency needs to be addressed, or lack thereof needs to be addressed. But at the very least, it shows that somebody on YouTube is at least paying attention and are taking steps to change this, even if it's just a slight bit. And finally, just as that YouTube thing came about, so did this thing. The RIAA, or the Recording Industry Association of America, has decided that they don't like safe harbor laws. They don't like YouTube being protected by that. They don't like you being protected by that. And thus they are trying to support a petition called Take Down and Stay Down. They have lobbied on Congress and Supreme Court in order to change this particular loophole. And I'm gonna read this verbatim, and then we'll get to each thing separately, because there is a lot of misleading information in this. Let's get to what it says. It says, quote, "Dear member of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Courts, Intellectual Properties, and Internet. For over 15 years, artists have had their constitutional rights trampled, in many cases by laws that were supposed to protect them. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act was designed to protect websites from infringing claims due to materials posted by third parties, as well as give artists an effective tool to remove infringing content. It is not working. Active infringing sites still get their safe harbor, but artists' rights get destroyed. Google alone received 345 million takedown notices last year. That means every day of the year there are 900,000 notices sent to Google about infringing material. This infringing material is taken down only to be reposted on the same site, sometimes within a matter of hours." Now keep that in mind. We're going to get to that. We'll get to it here in a second. But it continues on March 13th, 2014, in testimony before the Congressional Subcommittee on Courts, Intellectual Property, and the Internet, a major book publisher testified to sending takedown notices 571 times for the same book on the same website. The result is that since 1999, copyright holders have lost over $100 billion to internet piracy. The worldwide music industry has shrunk by 62%. There are 45 fewer working positions in the United States than in 2002. Small independent filmmakers spent their time not making movies, but sent out 50,000 takedown notices in a vain attempt to sweep aside the tide of recurrent copyright infringement. We need to change the laws to make sure that artists spend time making art, not sending takedown notices. It is time that a takedown notice be sent once and only once. Thereafter, it should be the duty of the website to prevent the reposting of the same material. The technology to do this is available. What is lacking is a legal directive to use this technology to prevent the wholesale theft of artistic creations. Close the loophole in the Digital Millennium Copyright Act that provides safe harbor for online piracy. Place the responsibility where it belongs, with those websites that profit from it. Protect artists' rights. Stop protecting those that profit from internet privacy. Take down needs to become take down and stay down. We are asking Congress to add a stay down provision to Section 512 to restrict safe harbor protection for infringing sites. Protect creators, not those who profit for internet piracy. Before I get to the statement that I said we would get to, did you notice anything that was missing from that? Did you notice any situation that was missing from that whole explanation? Once again, as I said in the previous story, fair use. Where's the fair use in any of this? They are not even bringing that up. They are not bringing up the thing that I am about to say, which is Google alone received 345 million takedown notices last year. Most of them are probably from their main property other than the search engine YouTube, which is exactly a point of contention that is under scrutiny right now, and we obviously know why. And the RIAA, which has been aggressive at bullying tactics in order to stop things like digital distribution, they have tried to fight that in the past, and the only reason why they accepted it is because they were forced to accept it. Here, they're not even bringing up where these takedown notices actually came from, which is the fraudulent YouTube copyright system. It is the broken YouTube copyright system, the takedown system that is put in place on YouTube. But not only that, people who use fraudulent claims, who use DMCA takedown claims, which are not real DMCA claims until they take you to court about them. They never bring that up. Never. Not once in any of that statement that I just read did they even bring up any bit of using a piece of a song or a movie or a book or a game for things like criticism, critique, review, commentary, anything like that. That is not on their mind, and they hope to to God that you don't have that on your mind when you read that and sign this thing. And this has so much wrong with it. This has so much that could go wrong with it. First of all, I find it interesting that I tried to go on Google and search for this story about the book publisher that sent takedown notices 571 times for the same book on the same website. I am trying to find where that story is, or who that was, or what book that was, or the circumstances of that. I cannot find anything about that. Now, it may be a case where I don't know what search string I have to put into Google in order to get some hits about that, but it does seem rather odd to me that this is a story that I've never heard about. Maybe someone in the comment section might bring some light to me about what that's all about, but I've yet to hear about that. And somebody to send a takedown notice 571 times to the same website about the same book, you would probably have heard about that. So I'm skeptical if that ever happened, or they're just making that up. And again, maybe someone can shed some light about that, but as of me recording this, I have yet to find any information about where that even took place. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully this is something that actually occurred, and we can get some more information about what happened, because a lot of this is very misleading. 1999 copyright holders have lost over $100 billion to internet piracy. Let's go between the lines. What happened in 1999? Napster. What did record companies not want to do in 1999? Give digital distribution. Why was Napster so popular? Because it cut out the middleman. You did not have to go to a record store to buy music. You could get music downloaded to your computer and have it right then and there. You did not need to go to that record store. You did not need to jump through those hoops. And you now see that iTunes is vastly popular. Google Play is vastly popular. Vivo is vastly popular. The legal forms of digital distribution are vastly popular. Why is that? It's not because people wanted to pirate it. It's because they wanted that option. And if they didn't have that option available to them in a legal sense, they were going to go elsewhere. They're going to find that legal option. That's why you saw that $100 billion lost, or whatever the figure is. Because again, I call into question many of these statistics, which, by the way, I went on the EFF site, and right in the moment they seem to not be loading right, or they seem to be down. And Google's Copyright Counsel Cedric Manera said that it was not a solution and just does not work and stay down as forever, whereas copyright has a term taking into account how long a copyright is good for, which is a pretty long time. Outside of that, there are other problems here, which is if someone is dumping a movie onto YouTube or a song onto YouTube and somebody says take that down, they're obviously committing piracy. And someone else wants to upload that very same thing as a review or a critique or a criticism. They can't do that. That reviewer cannot do that. And that copyright holder, provided that they want different rules for different situations that are not complete douchebags about reviews and critiques and criticisms, is presumably not able to allow a reviewer in order to do that either. It's punishing the person who is using fair use, which, by the way, this here obviously doesn't want you to consider that. They want to take away that fair use. That person who's using fair use and using it in a fair sense cannot upload a video because of this thing, because that other person decided to just dump that video onto YouTube, just dump that entire movie or dump that entire song or anything else. This completely opens up the door for somebody to very much use whatever DMCA takedown system that is in place to silence critique, silence criticism, silence review, silence parody. They are extremely aggressive about this. This is as transparent as you can get about what exactly they are actually trying to do, which is silence any form of critique. Stop new forms of reviews. Stop new forms of critique. Stop things like reactions. Stop things like Nostalgia Critic or Angry Video Game Nerd or Markiplier, PewDiePie, Total Biscuit, myself, or Peachy. The list goes on and on and on about how many people this is going to affect. And why? Because somebody dared to review a piece of content and tell you just what exactly they're talking about? Show you what exactly they're talking about? Because a few people, a few of the big companies, quote unquote, approved reviewers are not the only ones that want to review product, or want to react to some content, or want to share their enjoyment over something with everybody else, and they're going to punish somebody that uses fair use in the right way, which they would obviously punish anyway because someone else uses YouTube as a dummy ground. I mean, it's happening as it is already, but imagine if this thing got into effect. It could be bedlam for YouTube. It could be bedlam for Google. Google does not host anything. They are a search engine. Google does not host a damn thing other than what is on YouTube, and they are attempting to fix the situation on YouTube, albeit in a sort of lackluster manner, but Google is at least trying to fix this situation. And here's the RIAA, someone who has been known to bully people in the past, suing a child and a dead grandmother over what they considered piracy. I wouldn't take RIAA's word for what it's worth, which is not a whole hell of a lot. This is just another way for them to censor critique. This is just another way for them to control who gets to review content, who gets to react to content. That is all this is. This is a overreaching way to stifle competition, to stifle content, and the amount of things that they leave out are absolutely staggering, and it should alarm you. It should scare you as to just what exactly is left out and what they want to do here, what they are trying to do here. Like the small independent filmmakers that they say sends out 50,000 takedown notices. Citation needed. Where are you getting this information? It would be very helpful if they provided links to have people see just what exactly they're talking about. Some form of raw data besides taking their word for it. Because after reading the top half of this, everything else comes into question. Where are these 50,000 takedown notices? Where is this book publisher? Who are they talking about? Make some form of citation available on your site for us to have the full story. Of course, knowing the RIAA, they're not going to give it to you because they don't want you to have the complete story on most of these things. This cannot be allowed to gain traction. And keep in mind that the RIAA doesn't want you to do the research. And if you don't think that there isn't a counter push to the WTFU movement, just look at what a few people have said recently. William Buckley said that this is a bullying campaign, a cyberbullying campaign built on distorted information to incite an angry online mob, that he said in the Huffington Post. And then in Torrent Freak, there was an article about how the Copyright Alliance, who I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name, said that it was a copyright zombie apocalypse what God Walker and Fight for the Future was trying to do. So there is a pushback. There are hit pieces that are being made in order to try to stop this from happening. But the thing about it is that this has probably gotten the RIAA to try this out, to try to take down the stay down thing, which is going to harm things even further. It's going to push us backwards. It's going to push creativity backwards. It's going to push everything backwards. And that's what they want to do because they want to control who gets the right to review content, which should be everybody. So no, this is something that should not be signed, and hopefully people pay attention to what's between the lines. People do research and not sign this. Do not take the RIAA at the word. You shouldn't be to begin with. This just proves that they don't get that the internet and things like reviews and reactions are here to stay. They need to adapt or fall behind, and they obviously feel like they have fallen behind, and instead of trying to adapt, they're trying to push us backwards. It's as transparent as day, and hopefully everybody sees that. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Special Report. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you do like this, and be sure to comment down below on what you thought about today's stories. And of course, please, 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 if you know about who that book publisher was that sent all those takedown notices to the very same website for the very same book, please let me know, because I have yet to find that. Hopefully it's not just hot air being blown by the RIAA, though I would not be surprised in the slightest if it was. My name is JD Shadow, asking, where's the fair use?